Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today it's Macro Monday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. JJ, John Jerotz, Synergy One Lending. In the house today, we have an amazing panel. Seth O'Byrne, SethSoul.com, Eric Union, WJ Bradley, our mortgage expert for the day, in the studio. So, Seth, you were recently with the anchor Heather Myers on Channel 6 right here in San Diego, talking about the top school districts in San Diego and how one might be able to get their kids in these top districts on any budget. And this is actually, you can go to SethSoul.com and watch a video and learn about this. But let's get into this because, you look at these schools on this list and you look at the prices of the homes around these schools and it's insane.
Sure.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
So, it's summer. Summer's coming. It's the time of the year. I mean, this is the time of the year, these next few months where it's jockey time. It's trying to get into that house before the school year starts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. End of August, beginning September. You're totally right.
It's right there. So, I mean, number one, let's talk about the school districts. I mean, is it? I guess it's important, right? We talk about student loan debt. We talk about colleges. We want to get the kids in the best colleges. We want the kids in the best school districts. So where do you start?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was on that show, one thing that I was telling Heather is, we invest in our real estate much in the same way that we invest in our schools. And we're investing in our kids, One of the things, too, really important, and I don't know if you purposely lined it up, but, previously to be talking about colleges, if you go to the right school district and you graduate with good enough scores, you might not have any school debt when it comes to college. And so it's a real investment in the future, especially for your children. And, if they do well enough, you might not have to bring them back home after college.
Let's hope the boomerang stays out.
Yeah,
them,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I don't know if you've seen Lennar Homes now creates the multi-generational homes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, all over North San Diego. Well, all over the country, but I've shown a lot of those homes where all I can think of is stepbrothers. You know what I mean? But, hey, let's be honest. We just came through the recession, and there's a lot of people that can't find jobs or whatever. But, I think it all starts early. And so we focused on elementary schools first because most people choose the elementary school, as we all know, and then stay for the high school. What I wanted to do is a couple things. One, talk about ways to navigate getting into the best school districts. And number two, talk about alternatives that you might want to think about. So one of the problems I always find with young couples, especially if they haven't had a kid yet, they're thinking about schools, but they're not quite thinking about schools, is, they can go on Zillow, they can go on the MLS, we can send them properties from our website, and they'll get lured by beautiful properties at affordable prices. They'll see the payments are doable, the house has granite, and they're done, right? And
perfect mix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all right, check. And so, but what they're missing is a lot of times those values are there because the school districts don't perform, or because the crime data is high, or the walkability is poor, so it might not be as enjoyable for their family to really grow into. And so, the usual suspects are on here as I rank these. These are on the website, SethSoul.com, ranked by number 1 to number 20 top performing schools. Number 1, as you could expect, is Torrey Pines Elementary, La Jolla.
Yay, alma mater.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, buddy. And look at you. You're on the radio.
With you guys.
Proof in the pudding.
Exactly.
Number 1 school.
And then under that, La Jolla Elementary, also in La Jolla. Del Sur Elementary in West Rancho Bernardo. PacificRim Elementary, Southeast Carlsbad. I don't want to get lost in the weeds or name these all, but I lined them up with the median housing price. And there's two things worth saying here is, number 1, Torrey Pines High School. Can you buy into Torrey Pines Elementary in La Jolla by buying a $5 million house in La Jolla Shores? Yes, you can. But can you also buy into one of the duplexes, twin homes, townhomes, maybe a small 2-bedroom condo because it's just you and your wife or husband and one small child? Of course, you can do that as well. And so I think there's really 2 ways to solve this issue. One is downsize, which is what people in other major metropolitan cities like San Francisco and Manhattan have been doing for 10 decades. It's just new to us San Diegans to realize that you might have to sacrifice a little bit of space in order to get what you want. And then the other is there's a lot of great high-performing school districts, maybe not in La Jolla, but in some neighboring communities that are just as good, and then they're very close to the median housing price.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good example. Del Sur Elementary, West Rancho Bernardo, median home price $668, right? And you have, like you said, PacificRim Elementary, Southeast Carlsbad, median price, and that's median, right? So you can find homes below that. You can find homes above that, $627,500. Scripps Ranch, I'm not even sure how to Dingeman Elementary, $654. So you don't have to spend. I mean, what you're saying here is you don't have to just buy at the top to get into these schools.
No, you certainly don't.
And so what is the planning? I mean, what should be the most important thing?
Yeah, so I believe schools should be a big part of the dictator. You know, and even if you are a young couple, and many choose not to have children, or you're an individual and you want to buy a house, school districts matter. If you go buy downtown, if you buy in Pacific Beach, school districts don't matter because that doesn't really drive the values. But if you're in a single-family residence neighborhood like a Scripps Ranch or a Poway, schools will drive the value. And so much in the same way that I have a listing in Cielo, where part of Cielo is Rancho Santa Fe, part of Cielo is Escondido, it's literally 30% more valuable to be across the street in a different school district. The school districts literally weave through the streets like some sort of value fault line, some earthquake fault line. And on one side, the values are literally 30% more. And the reason being is even if you're not going to use the schools, even if you go private, the value's connected to the schools. La Jolla schools are incredible. Obviously, we all know that. As we all pretty much know, or some of us you may not know but you suspect, property taxes directly affect the performance of a school. If they have more money, they can afford more programs, higher performing teachers, better classrooms, that kind of stuff, smaller classroom sizes, which obviously help the API scores. But, there's a lot of new schools. They have alternative taxes, such as Melrose, or there's a Poway Unified School District tax that's tacked on to the real estate there.
So let me ask you this. I mean, when you see Melrose, can you automatically assume that that money flows to the school district and is going to help that API score and the ranking, et cetera?
Yes and no. In most cases, it does perform like you think it would. Melrose also goes towards public parks and a lot of other public things other than the schools. The more money you pump into schools, the better they will perform. So that could be a lost leader sometimes. But what I was telling Heather Myers on Channel 6, which I want to echo today, is you just got to sit down and go over the schools first with the real estate agent. As important as the crime data is, as the walkability of the community is, the schools have got to be the first thing that you talk about, and then decide what you can buy within those schools. And if you set up artificial constraints up front rather than being lured by the flip that was done in a school district that maybe isn't so good, you can at least guarantee that the downside of your investment is minimized.
I love it. That's Seth O'Byrne, SethSoul.com. And I'll tell you, if you want to go to a cool website, this is the coolest website you can possibly ever go to, SethSoul.com. I get lured into your website, Seth.
Yeah.
And I sit there for too long. It's like, people get lured into Facebook, and it's your website because the video content is just amazing.
Thanks.
It's extreme.
Well, it's been 5 years in the making, so we're happy you like it.
Well, and the information there is it's incredible. Let's go straight to the Mr. Credit inbox right now from Darnell. Great show, guys. I've learned a lot. Just got married to a great lady. Congratulations, Darnell. Renting a home for $2,800, and we really want to settle into a nice area. My new wife has 2 little ones from a previous marriage, and we need to get a home with enough space. We have between us $75,000 to put into something, and wondering if we can get into a regular home in a good school district and hope to keep the payments similar to what we pay for rent. What do you think about this? Is it doable? So, Seth, this situation. Here's a perfect example. We talked about the school districts. We talked about kids. Here's a good example. I mean, we want to be in a good school district. Can we get into it with this sort of budget in mind? Obviously, we need more pieces to the puzzle.
Sure.
But on a blanket level, can we get Darnell to where they want to be?
Yeah, we definitely can. As you're mentioning, and I'll leave it up to you guys. You're the pros. You see the $75,000, $2,800 a month. You have the beginnings of a math problem right? That has to get
A
solved.
math solution.
A math solution. There we go. I feel like I'm taking an SAT. Looking at those numbers and, with the experience I have, my gut tells me yes. The answer is yes. You can get into a great school district. And I think one of the things a lot of people don't know is you can tour schools. You can go check them out. So if say you guys as their mortgage advisors give them some numbers and you spit out a price at the end that's doable both with their budget and their down payment ability, we can then take that, scrub it by all the areas that have good school districts, and then rather than going right out on next Monday, and go look at houses, next Monday set up 3 meetings in 3 different school districts. So go look at those first, because what you don't want to do is fall in love with a home and have to settle for the school or settle for the crime data or settle for things that unfortunately you can't change, because you can remodel a countertop, but you can't change your school district single-handedly.
You can't change the neighborhood.
That's great advice, Seth.
Yeah.
And we're in the studio with Seth O'Byrne, SethSold.com. I think we made a lot of people smarter today, I can tell you. We gave them a lot of good information today, and that's what this show is all about. If you want to get in touch with Eric, with Seth, just email us here. Email at mrcredit.org. You can always watch us on the live stream at mrcredit.org as well. And Seth, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. You're all over the place and taking care of your clients as well. I know your team did a phenomenal job with a buyer that I worked with as well, and they're the happiest little couple for getting their first home. And, that's what it's all about.
It sure is.
The end result, that's what it's all about. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Coming on. Eric, thank you, first-timer. Great job today.
Thank you.
And appreciate it. It is your lunch hour, 1700, Mr. Credit.